sine rule, finding unknown sides and angles of non-right angled triangles. Now I introduced you to the sine rule in the previous video, which was just showing you, look, this is our overview. So you really don't need to write this sine rule down again, which is why I'm just pulling it in here. But remember, this is our sine rule. It's got a different version for finding sides and finding angles, but they mean the same thing. Now, when we're presented with a non-right angled triangle problem, first it's a good idea to check that it's not a right angled triangle. So 180 minus 130 is 50 minus 30, so that'll be 20 degrees. So no right angles. And your first step is always to label your triangle, as it is for any trig problem. Now I did show you how to label it. A good idea is to make sure that the A, if you can, is assigned to the thing that you're going to be finding. Sides are lowercase, so if this is side A, the opposite angle is angle capital A. And then I might as well use B for the next one, so this is angle B and this is side B, and there's nothing on angle C and side C. So you've labelled your triangle. The next step is always to choose and write your rule or your formula. In order to use the sine rule, what I have to have is a pair of a side and matching angle, which I have, so I can use the sine rule. You've always got to have one other piece of information, of course. So I choose the sine rule, and the way you choose, if you haven't remembered whether you're finding sides or angles, is that the thing I want to find should be at the top left of what I'm writing, because that's where I want to end up, so I might as well end up with it at the top left to start with. I'm finding side A, so that means I'm choosing that part of the sine rule. And then you're choosing whichever part you've also got. I've got nothing on the C's, B it is. So I'm going to be using this. So that is, I write A over sine A equals B on sine B. As always, with trig, we're going to substitute our values and then solve with units. So A here is x on sine of 130 degrees, and that equals 7 on sine of 30 degrees. Sorry, I haven't left enough space here. X on its own is what we want. I've got x divided by sine 130, so I'm going to, sorry, you'd normally put this underneath, have x equals 7 times sine 130, because I just bring that up to the top there, and still over sine 30 degrees. Grab your calculator, 7 sine 130. You might as well use the over button if you've got it, because then we're less likely to make mistakes, but either one will work. 10.7 meters. Oh, no, we're in centimeters. 10.7 centimeters. So that's using the sine rule to find an unknown side. Here's the next type of question that we're very likely to get. For starters, we're finding an angle, and they often will describe the triangle to you, and you'll have to draw it. Now, don't need to get carried away with being to scale. You can pretty much just go, let's call it ABC, but we're going to come up with all sorts of different triangles. As long as you label it accurately, we're okay. This is side A, that's side C, that's side B, and we put in the values that we know. So angle A is 48 degrees, side A is 7 centimeters, side C is 5 centimeters, and I'm finding angle C. Following our rules, check, now that I've labelled it, check that I can use the sine rule. I've got a side and its opposite angle, and it's good. Now sometimes they wouldn't have given me side C, and I might have had to go finding side side B or something first to be able to get angle C. So, and also sometimes they'll say solve this triangle, and solving a triangle means you find all sides and all angles. But in this case, I've got the side opposite C, so I'm good to go. Choose your rule, and here we're going to be finding angles, and you can tell that I want, which one do I want? I want angle C. So I'm going to start with this one because I want sine C to be right at the top left of my working, as I said before, top left. And I've got A and A, so I'm going to use that one. So you only ever use 2 out of the 3 parts of your sine rule. So that's sine C over C equals sine A over A. Substitute your values in. Side C here is 5. Sine of 48 degrees on side A is 7. Rearrange. Now there will be 2 steps because I've got to get rid of this 5, sine C divided by 5. So we take that up to the top because we're multiplying both sides by 5. And now I've got sine C, but I just want C on its own. So of course that's inverse sine. So I take it down to just C equals inverse sine in brackets 5 sine 48 degrees on 7. If you want, this line here can be left out because you can remember to deal with the inverse sine and the 5 in the same step and just skip straight to here. But if you're at all likely to make a mistake, put this line in. And then of course it is, grab your calculator time, inverse sine 5 sine 48 degrees, might as well use your fraction key there, over 7, close your bracket, 32 degrees. So that's the sine rule for finding unknown sides and unknown angles. And as long as you remember to follow your steps, label the triangle, check that you can use the sine rule and write it in its correct orientation for sides or angles, substitute your values and remember how to rearrange and solve, then everything should be fine.